High-speed internet is coming to more customers in Northern Ontario. The province has signed a deal with Starlink to provide 15,000 customers in rural areas with service. Now, this move marks a major win for areas long neglected by big telecom companies and could set the stage for some more competition. Joining us this morning with more is tech analyst Carmi Levy. Good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. So good to be with you.
Yeah, so we want to start off by disclosing that Bell is one of those big telecom companies. It is the parent company of Your Morning. Carmi, a lot of the companies that offer internet services to rural areas across the country do so via satellite. It is the easiest, most direct way to do it. What makes this particular deal with Starlink so significant?
Because conventional satellite services are based on geosynchronous satellites, and those hover over the Earth, usually in the same place, 23,000 miles above the planet. And that it works very well. The problem is it takes a little while for the signal to make it to the satellite and back. So if you're maybe playing a game or if you're in a video conference, you know there's a lot of lag from the time that you ask it to do something to the time you get an answer back. You're having a conversation. There's this uncomfortable pause every time someone starts and stops. Very difficult, not quite the same as regular terrestrial service in the middle of a big city. And also, if you're out in a rural area, it costs a lot of money. So it's expensive to buy the ground equipment. It's expensive for the subscription. And in many cases, you're very limited on how much data you can move, and you'll be charged overage charges above that. So, there's a have and have not kind of situation. You've got that service in the city, but if you're out in a rural area, that satellite service is very expensive and not quite the same experience as you get everywhere else. That really does need to be addressed. It's kind of one of our national shames.
Oh, that's strong language, Carmi. But there have been, speaking of national, both federal and provincial governments have promised better internet access for people who live in rural parts of this country. So this deal in particular, Ontario spent $92 million to equip 15,000 people with service. But Starlink receivers typically cost around $500 a piece. Under this deal, the government is spending more than $6,000. So what's making up the difference here?
They're saying that they're guaranteeing service. In other words, they'll guarantee that you get high-speed service regardless. And so over and above what a regular subscriber would receive. And Starlink, of course, already is considered kind of the gold-plated satellite option because those satellites are in much lower orbit. You don't get that lag. It's much faster. It's much more reliable. There's 7,000 satellites and counting in orbit now. It's the service that everybody wants. And so over and above what a regular subscriber would get, they're saying, we're going to add this guarantee. And I guess that kind of explains why it costs more than what a regular person could get if they called up today and asked for it. So I don't know.
It's kind of like paying for the guarantee, I guess. SpaceX, which is the parent company, Starlink, has launched approximately 7,000 satellites. There are plans to launch tens of thousands more. I'm going to wait for that ambulance to go by. How will the scope and the reach of service that it provides expand in the years ahead? Where are we going to see this go?
So if you look at a map of Canada or even a map of the world, Starlink is regularly updating its areas of service. In theory, this should cover most places on Earth when it's fully built out. As more satellites get added to the constellations, to the different orbits in that constellation, that service map gradually fills in. And so over time, most of Canada will be reachable by Starlink. You can look it up, and if you're in a geographic area that applies to you, you can happily get service and know that it'll be fairly reliable. It's fairly decent now. There are some gaps here and there. Those gaps will gradually go away in the years to come.
All right. Up until now, you and I have been talking about technology and not some of the political conversations that are happening alongside this deal. So when U.S. President-elect Donald Trump takes office, Elon Musk, who owns Starlink and SpaceX, will be part of his administration. Back in 2022, Musk threatened to cut off Starlink internet service to Ukraine after one of the country's ambassadors insulted him on the platform X. Trump's second term is expected to be perhaps a turbulent one for Canada, certainly a different relationship than we've had going forward. If things take a turn, could Musk shut off internet for Starlink customers in Canada?
The potential is definitely there, and there's absolutely risk associated with putting all of your technological satellite eggs in one basket. And certainly Elon Musk has proven over the years he's a pretty cantankerous individual. If you insult him, bad things might happen. And so the government recognizes that this is one program of many. There are other technologies that will be joining Starlink in the future. For example, Amazon has Project Kuiper. Canada has its own Telesat Lightspeed service that'll begin launching launching in a couple of years. And so over time, you would expect the government to identify that this is a risk, that you don't want to tick Elon Musk off, because then the political becomes something that affects Canadians on the ground. And then over time, what you do is add additional services to that mix to make sure that you're protected, even if Starlink is having a bad day and even if Elon Musk is in a bad mood.
It's good to take a full overview of, what's coming to Ontarians in rural Canada who are going to be happy to have faster and more reliable service. Tech analyst Carmi Levy, thank you.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.